Welcome back, everyone. I'm David Nelson for the Traders Network, broadcasting worldwide for iHeartRadio and CBS Interactive. Starting a company is tough, but navigating the treacherous waters of venture capital, that's really a unique skill set, and we've got somebody here that's actually done it. Ooshma Garg has taken her startup company, Gobble, literally from her dorm room to your kitchen, and she's with us right here. Uma, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Every entrepreneur has that magic moment, that moment in time, maybe that light bulb moment where they have a vision, an idea for a company or a product. When was that time for you and Gobble?
Wow. I would say that, that there were two moments. So one moment was when I was running my previous company. I built a recruiting network so that students could get jobs in business. And I actually was eating very poorly. I was working 24/7, just trying to get a startup off the ground, and often found myself in my car, at 2 a.m. eating like Taco Bell or chicken nuggets. And my health was going down the drain. My happiness, wasn't very strong. And so the idea for Gobble started very organically out of this very personal need that I had to bring this like rich tradition of home cooking that I had growing up back into my life as an adult.
I was reading this on the internet. It was a phrase I saw talking about your company. I have to ask you about it. What is peer-to-peer lasagna?
Yes, peer-to-peer lasagna is this term that I coined to represent what I thought Gobble could be. And I wanted it to be this very open marketplace where chefs could post dinners that they cooked and hungry families could buy those dinners. So I thought it would be, in essence, someone next door cooking for you, and thus a peer-to-peer transition of lasagna.
Talk to me about the company. Talk to me about Gobble. What is it and what's in it for the consumer?
The mission from day one has always been to help busy people access home-cooked food. And we went through many different iterations to figure out what is the best product and what is the best thing I can do to help the modern family have a home-cooked meal. And as we learned after many years, we learned this key insight that as you become an adult, you want to cook for your loved ones, but today you don't have the time. So no matter how good the food I give you, if it's ready-made, you don't appreciate it as much. People wanted control, they wanted to see the ingredients. So after a lot of years of listening to customers and trying different ideas, we came up with the 10-minute one-pan dinner kit. And that allows someone who's even never cooked before to have a pan and a spatula, and in 10 minutes, and our easy 3-step recipe card, cook a fresh home-cooked meal for their loved ones.
There's been a lot of startups in this particular space, and some deliver frozen meals that end up actually in the microwave. What made you decide to go to something like a meal kit that people would cook in their homes?
We saw when families were warming our meals in the microwave and then plating them for their kids that they just weren't as happy. So we thought to ourselves, well, how could they have a hand in the cooking? And what can we do to make them just feel better about their dinner time experience? And that's how we started taking things away from what we did and letting the customer do it. So we started letting you garnish the meal, or letting you, combine the sauce and the pasta instead of delivering it already done. And that took off. Having people participate in the end product of something is what we learned later really valuable. It's the same thing that happens with cake mix or assembling IKEA furniture, because people are actually statistically 5 times prouder of something if they built it versus just bought it off the shelf.
There's some obvious permutations to this company, certainly vegetarian, maybe gluten-free, or Weight Watchers. A lot of things that could be done with this company. Are you going to go down any of those avenues?
Absolutely. What's neat is by deconstructing the meal, we already started appealing to lots of different diets. So we take out the oil, spice, butter, salt, and pepper. So if one person wants it mild, they eat it without the spice, and if somebody wants it spicy, they'll add the spice into the pan at the last minute. Or people can use gluten-free pasta instead of gluten-full pasta, or they can hold the meat or order something without the meat if they want. So already the concept of a dinner kit lends itself to fitting lots of diets, and we're working to make that even more customizable.
Okay, you've started this very wonderful company. You're starting to have some success, but as we know, it always comes down to the money. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about the early rounds of financing when you got this started.
I've been through a lot of moments where it's been very hard to raise money, but Gobble's seed round was the right idea at the right time. I didn't know that. I was very hungry, and I posted an ad on Craigslist looking for chefs. Got 70 responses, started meeting them and putting together a calendar of what meals they could make each day and selling that to my friends. And that very quickly became a strong proof of concept that after 2 months, I took to angel investors all over Silicon Valley, and in the matter of weeks raised $1.2 million for this idea.
1.2 million.
Yes.
I recently read that you actually raised as much as 11 million in a Series A funding. I want you to hold it right there because I'm going to take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more with Ooshma about where she's taking this exciting company. We're going to delve into the finances and where she's taking the company next. I'm David Nelson for the Traders Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm David Nelson for the Traders Network. If you're just joining, we've been sitting here with the CEO of Gobble, Ooshma Garg, discussing her very exciting young company. We've gotten through some of the broad strokes, but now I'd like to discuss some of the finer details and talk about the financing. Ooshma, I want to dive right in here. You are obviously in the right place at the right time. You started off this company with 1.2 million in financing. You've recently raised as much as 11 million in a Series A financing round. Talk to us about that and how you got started.
Well, first of all, raising Series A is very difficult, and I've tried to do so with multiple versions of Gobble. And as it should be, we were able to raise this wonderful round of funding with the product that is really taking off and the product that's right for families today. And so we received that money from folks who are veterans in the consumer and the food and beverage industry.
Can you talk about a few of those people, who they are?
Absolutely. One of them is Trinity Ventures. They are one of the original backers of Starbucks, an investor in Pinkberry and Bulletproof Coffee. And then another firm is Andreessen Horowitz, who has a long track record of investments in successful consumer and enterprise companies.
Starting up a company is great, but how many states are you in right now?
We have a large operation in the Bay Area that's able to serve 7 states on the West Coast. So we serve California, Washington, and Oregon, and really have covered that entire region.
What does it take to manage a company as it's growing like this? What about the logistics here? How complicated is that?
In our estimation, to cover the entire country, you need 3 to 4 large fulfillment centers.
That's it?
For the shipping of it. And then in our case, you need commercial kitchen facilities and a very large staff of dishwashers, cooks, prep cooks, and chefs to actually prep the dinner kits.
We're here on the East Coast, right here in New York City, and this is where I live. Are you planning on rolling anything out here, so that maybe I can go to the store and use your product?
Yes, we are. I hope you can buy it in a few months. We've been doing some pilot testing on the East Coast, and we're just now figuring out the right, long-term home for Gobble here.
All right, every entrepreneur has its set of challenges, and I'm sure there were a series of milestones that Gobble had to go through to get to the point where it is today. Let's talk about that.
Our first milestone was establishing a proof of concept, which was just showing in some way, whether it's a survey or through some sales, that we had some legs to our idea. And that milestone was followed by our seed funding, which would be our second milestone. Then I would say that the milestone after that is really assembling the right team for success. So we hired Chris Woodford, who's our lead engineer. He built algorithms to help evacuate people from emergency scenarios via helicopter, bus, ship, plane, whatever, to get you to the hospital. So he's behind a lot of the data engineering in the company. And complemented by Thomas Ricci, who's our now executive chef. And he was trained by Michael Mina and Roland Passot, both of who run Michelin star restaurants, and Thomas has run some of those restaurants for them. So we have kind of engineering and culinary prowess in the company that really then led to our fourth milestone of hitting product market fit, where we developed these 10-minute dinner kits, and we saw sort of the word of mouth and organic growth happen. And finally reached our final milestone to date, which was our venture round of $11 million last October.
I'm hearing a lot of very familiar terms like data analytics and frankly terms that are more closely associated with technology and social media. Where did you get the idea to merge a food company, a traditional food company, with technology? Let's talk about that.
Yes, that's a great question. I grew up with this very rich upbringing of home-cooked food. My dad actually is the head of nutrition and endocrinology at UT Southwestern. And every day I'd come home from track practice and he would be singing and cooking this beautiful, nutritious Indian food in our kitchen for our family. So he was already kind of treating the kitchen as his science lab, but at home. And I was always very math, science, and engineering focused. So it was combining my way of thinking with my definition of family and something that was very important to me in life. So to me, it's natural, and I think just applying that engineering perspective to food can really go far. In the same way that Pandora and Netflix know what kind of movies or songs you like, and they get better and better over time, I think that Gobble can understand your tastes better and better over time, so that on any given night we know exactly what you would like to eat based on what you ate yesterday and the day before.
You want to know what I want to eat.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I could predict that.
We've talked about the challenges and some of the milestones that you and the company went through to get to this point where you are today. But there's going to be challenges in the future. Are you worried about other companies looking at your success, and are you worried about copycats?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think entrepreneurs work so hard, just day and night on their passion and their idea. And the funny thing is, I thought that that's where it ended. I thought that if you invented something brand new that changed people's lives, that was it. That was amazing. Recently, I've learned that if you do that and if you are successful, other businesses want to adapt and want to have a piece of the success. And so I think that you were right. The next challenge we have ahead really is being the best at our own idea. And even though there's going to be copycats, staying creative and innovative and making sure that the same DNA that produced this idea will produce many more to come and keep us as the lead innovator in the food industry.
Anything else on the horizon?
We make dinner time easy for families, and so we'd like to apply that to breakfast and lunch and snack time, and then hopefully other activities in your household. So I think we just want to be the brand that helps make family time easy.
Okay, well, you're certainly doing that. Ooshma, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks, David. It was great.
And thank you for joining. By the way, a quick thank you goes out to 1-800-Public Relations for all the PR and media support. Thanks again for joining. I'm David Nelson for the Traders Network.